Hey guys, Marijka, Milton Public Library, back with you today for 5 more books in the mystery, adventure, horror genres. Pretty sure this is our last books in this group. I could be wrong, but I think that this is our last group, and then we'll be moving on to historical fiction, I believe, is what I have chosen for the next grouping of books. So to start today, we are going to talk about The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. So this book is about Nobody Owens. Yes, that's his name, but his friends call him Bod. So when Nobody is a very small toddler, his family is like brutally murdered, but he doesn't seem to even realize. All he notices is that the front door is open and he's going to go on an adventure. So this adventure takes him to the graveyard, and there, the ghosts in the graveyard see the intentions of this Jack, which is what they refer to as the person who murdered his family. So they then grant Nobody the protection of the graveyard. So they take care of him. So he's adopted by these 2 ghosts that don't have children, and then his guardian is this vampire. So the book spans Nobody's whole childhood, each chapter taking on the most like striking moments of that year's events. So yeah, one year he's meeting new human friends, and the next he's going on adventures with a hanged witch or running from a very, very hungry ghost. But honestly, even though all of this crazy and kind of scary things are happening within the graveyard, it's the living land, or the land of the living, that is the real danger for Nobody, because that's where the Jack that murdered his whole family lives. So this is a really fun book by Neil Gaiman, who is known for his sort of horror like genre. So this is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Okay, the next book that I'm going to bring you is called A Monster Hypothesis, and this is by Romily Bernard. So this book is about Kit Winter, and she moves to Boring, Missouri, home of now 454 people and 2,053 alligators. She moves there to live with her grandmother, who's the town's fake psychic, while her scientist parents are off doing really important things. After Kit tells a lie at school, they now think that Kit can save them from this town curse. Now, this witch placed the town, or cursed the town, by saying that every 100 years, all of the small town's children would turn into monsters, and this is the time for that to be happening. So Kik, a scientist herself, knows that this is just a myth and it's not real, right? But when some clues start popping up that is like trying to say that it is real, or proving that this curse is real, Kik must fight all of the fake facts, whilst keeping her secret about the fact that she told this big lie. So with the help of her cousin and her newfound friend, they're going to use science to figure out this curse and to prove that it's not a thing. So this is a really fun investigative mystery. So this book is The Monster Hypothesis, and it is by Romily Bernard. So the next book, I think I chose like really weird names today. So the next book is called The Adventures of a Girl Called Bicycle, and this is by Christina. So, 12-year-old Bicycle is a bit of an introvert. So that means that she is very well and fine being alone, and being with people is very exhausting. Whenever people try to be her friend, she just kind of like literally runs away or rides her bike away. But she was raised in a mostly silent monastery, so it makes being an introvert really, really easy. But when her guardian, Sister Wanda, decides that it is time for a Bicycle to make friends, and she's going to send her to this bicycle camp, where she can learn, hopefully, to meet friends, Bicycle decides that she does not want to do this, and she protests and instead gets on her bike and rides off to San Francisco, where she believes she's going to try to meet her idol, this champion bicycler. And that guy is going to be her first and her best friend. She just knows it, right? So she sets off on this adventure across the United States with these like really crazy, over the top adventures that keep taking place. Dogs that hate her bike, and a bike loving horse, and pigs that crush the bike. Yeah. Oh, and her handlebars of her bike are haunted. Yeah. So, this book covers all three of this month's genres. So it has a great mystery, it has an amazing adventure, and then it also has a haunted bike. So it totally fits into the horror genre also. So this is a great mystery. It has lots of adventures and a ghost, and of course a big old realization in the end that sometimes having a friend is a needed thing. So that is Adventures of a Girl Called Bicycle by Christina Us. So then the next book I have for you is called The Bone Snatcher, and this book is by Charlotte Salter. So this book is about Sophie Seacove, and Sophie Seacove tells stories. She tells stories about her life. She tells stories about how the world would have been or might have been if it had not been overtaken by the madness that was levied upon them by the sea. So Sophie lives in this mansion by the sea after her parents sell her to these really horrible people to be a servant, all so that they get paid to go on vacation. So yeah, Sophie's parents are swell. So she was sold to a horrible family, made to live in this horrible mansion that is surrounded by horrible monsters. So but Sophie isn't the only one that likes to tell stories or have stories to tell. The house, the mansion in which she lives in, is also full of stories. And Sophie wants to find out all of these stories and what they have. But most importantly to her is to find the monster box, and she believes once she finds this, she will have the key on how to escape this house and to get back to her family or some sort of life. So this story is filled with really amazing imagery and really wonderfully grotesque characters. So it's absolutely different and it's extraordinarily funny. So this is The Bone Snatcher by Charlotte Salter. The last book that I have for you today is called The Wig in the Window, and this one is by Kristen Kittscher. So as the first three of my books had really crazy name, the last two have the same name. So this book is about Sophie Young and her best friend Grace Yang, and they see themselves as like these really cool super sleuths. One day they're gonna work for the FBI or be private investigators or whatever young super sleuths set out to be when they grow up. So on one of their midnight stakeouts, they witness this really horrific bloody scene that takes place in the home of the middle school guidance counselor, Dr. Charlotte Agford, aka Dr. Awkward, as all the kids call her, because she's always been a little off and very, very weird. So after they witness this, they call the police, and it comes to be that there actually wasn't this horrific scene, that Dr. Agford was actually just pickling beets, which is kind of funny, right? Except for how Dr. Agford starts acting after this situation. So she starts acting like really crazy, and it kind of sets off some alarms in Sophie and Grace's head. So even though all of the grown-ups in their life are telling them just to leave it alone, and that they're like crazy and they're out of bounds and all of these things, they decide that this teacher is hiding something, or this guidance counselor is hiding something, and they must figure out what it is. So they continue to investigate her. So despite all of the adult pressure, they're still gonna find out what she's obviously hiding, because she's acting all weird and all put off that someone would be like spying on her, but like in a weird way. So this is a really wonderful book with lots of mystery, and also a great story about how sometimes adults just don't listen to kids, no matter how right the kids might be, that they're just unwilling to see that kids can be right sometimes. So this book is called The Wig in the Window, and this is by Kristen Kittscher. So those were my books for this last little session of mystery, adventure, and horror. I hope you enjoyed at least one of them, and all of them are available here at the Milton Public Library. And yeah, so I will see you next time with, I believe, historical fiction. So you have a nice day. Bye.